Good afternoon, this is Dan, Fleet Manager with Casella Construction. Today we're going to talk a little bit about DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. As you all know, we have a large job starting off in Waste USA in Coventry, and we have a lot of new assets up there that use DEF, so I thought it was an important time that we talk about it, how to handle it, and how to go about using it properly to avoid system failures or problems in the future on our job site. So diesel exhaust fluid is used on all newer assets, 2011 and newer. Most of them started coming out with DEF systems in them. It is a non-toxic fluid, however it is corrosive to certain metals and it should be handled safely. You should have your PPE on and gloves when you're dispensing diesel exhaust fluid, and also understand where it goes. Your owner's manual will give you that information, but it's usually labeled here with the blue symbol of the liquid going into basically what looks like an exhaust cloud. So if you open it up, most caps are blue in color, and just like fueling or any other oil or lubricant or anything we deal with, cleanliness is the key. So you want to make sure that you have your area all around the cap clean, the cap itself clean, and underneath cleaned before you take this cap off to top off your diesel exhaust fluid. So one thing you'll notice about a DEF system is the size of the orifice when you fill it. It is much smaller than a fuel nozzle. That's by design. They don't want you to accidentally put a fuel nozzle in there. So it's a narrow opening for the DEF, and that is by design. DEF comes in several ways. You can buy it in bulk. We have 275-gallon jug containers. We also have 55-gallon drums, and you have your 2.5-gallon container that you see here. So it's simple to dispense. You remove your shipping cap. You would place your spout on top. Remove your foil here, which we're not dispensing here, but I'll show you. It would go on, and at that point, you would put it into your DEF tank. Most of our equipment, the newer equipment, will have a DEF gauge inside on the dash. It will tell you how much DEF it requires to bring it up to the full mark. Once you dispense your DEF, the key thing is this nozzle can never touch any other fluid. No oil, no gas, no dirt. If it were to hit the ground, it'd have to be perfectly clean before you put the DEF in the system to avoid contamination. These systems are highly finicky when it comes to contaminants. You can clog the filters, you can clog the injector pumps, and then what you have is you have a big headache of chasing problems with your DEF system. So when dispensing out of bulk containers like 55-gallon drums or 275-gallon containers, it is extremely important that you use a container that's only had DEF in it before. So these jugs are good to save to refill off bulk containers, but they can never house any other liquid or any other ingredient at all, only DEF. So the DEF will be transferred from the big container to a small container that must be immaculately clean and then put into the unit. 90% of our problems come when we transfer to different containers is the cleanliness of the container or the hose you're dispensing from. The hose should be wrapped neatly on top of the DEF drum, kept clean and away from contaminants. If it drops the deck and hits the dirt, at that point we're fighting a losing battle. That has to be totally cleaned and flushed before it can be used to dispense DEF into another container. So cleanliness is a huge thing. UV light is no good for DEF. You shouldn't leave DEF out in the sun. It will evaporate because it is 67% water, but it not only will it evaporate, it changes the chemical composition when the water evaporates off. Freezing does not harm DEF. It can freeze and thaw, and it will have the exact same chemical compounds exactly the same way and can go in the machine once it is thawed. Most units do have heaters on them to thaw the DEF in the wintertime to allow them to feed properly into the exhaust system. But freezing does not change the chemical composition of DEF. One thing is, do not allow DEF containers everything should be labeled properly. Do not allow them to be used on anything else. You have to keep the container clean, the dispensing pump clean, the hose that comes off the pump clean, and then the end product into the unit clean. It's extremely important. These systems are finicky and like to have problems on their own, so you can't introduce anything into the system. As soon as you're done dispensing the DEF and it's in the system, get your cap back on. And at that point, you're ready to go on to the next unit. So if you have any concerns or questions about DEF, there's a lot of good information online. The manufacturers we buy it from have stuff that's available free online. Also in your owner's manuals, if your equipment requires DEF, you'll have information in there. But the main key for us as end users is cleanliness. We got to be able to keep it, any contaminants, even the slightest dirt and debris, out of those DEF systems. Otherwise, we'll be chasing our tails and have tons of headaches. So we need to stay out in front of that and keep the DEF systems perfectly clean so we can avoid breakdowns that are unnecessary out in the field. Thank you.